I'm Steve Krentz, and I'd like to welcome you to Learn and Master Guitar. I'm a professional guitarist. I live here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I teach and play and record every day. In this session, we're going to cover the parts of the guitar, how to tune the instrument, what are the names of the strings, correct right and left hand technique, how to read guitar tablature, how to read guitar chords, and we're also going to learn our first two chords. So in our guitar tips section, we're also going to be talking about getting your instrument ready to play, setting up the action, changing the strings, those sorts of issues. In every session, there will be an assignment page at the end that shows you clearly exactly what you need to cover for the next coming session. And in our workshop time, I'll practice with you over the material that you need to learn in order to move on. Are you ready to learn guitar? Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first thing we want to talk about is the parts of the guitar. Most guitars are pretty similar in their design. If this is an acoustic guitar, we have the body of the guitar right here. You've got the neck right here, the headstock here with the tuning pegs. Your guitar has 6 strings. They're attached on this end by the tuning keys, and down on this end by the bridge. There's a lot of tension on this bridge. So you always want to make sure that's attached nice and tight to your soundboard of your guitar. Sometimes your guitar will have a pick guard here, so it doesn't scratch up your guitar when you play. These silver bars and the gold bars are frets. We will learn an awful lot about frets and where to put your fingers on them as well as on the fretboard. So that's the parts of the guitar. The next thing we need to learn is the names of our strings. You have 6 strings on a guitar. Of course, it's 1st through the 6th, but they're numbered from the thinnest string, which is actually the bottom one, up through the thickest, which is the top one. So this would be the 1st. This would be the 2nd, and 3rd, and so on. Now, they also have letter names that go along with them. The musical alphabet goes from A to G. So there's different letter names that correspond with each one of these strings, and that's one of the first things we need to learn. So let's learn that first. We're going to do 3 strings at a time. When we do more than 3 strings, everybody gets confused, so we're just going to do 3 strings at a time. The first string is an E. So go ahead and try and play an E. Your second string is a B. And your third string is a G. We'll just do those 3. That's E, B, and G. So if I asked you, what is the second string? What would you think? And if I said, what is the first string? And if I said a G is on what string? Or which string? What would you say? Good. Let's do the next 3. So we have E, B, and G. Now we're going to do the next 3. The 4th string is a D. The 5th string is an A. And the 6th string is another E. The 2 outside ones, 1st string and 6th string, are both E's. So let's put them all together. You ready? E, B, G, D, A, and E. Did you get all those? All right, let's try. If I said to you, what is the note of the 5th string? What would you say? What about the 2nd string? What string is a D on? What string is an A on? Pretty good. All right, now let's talk about right hand technique. The first thing we need to talk about is our pick. There's all different kinds of picks that you can use. There's heavies, mediums, and lights, different shapes and sizes. I'd say the best thing to start out with is a medium pick, one of these teardrop shaped ones. And how do you hold it? Well, you put your pick in between your first finger and your thumb. You want to kind of make a 90-degree angle right there between your thumb and the downward point of the pick. Now your first finger is kind of pointing out a little bit, almost at a 45-degree angle, out underneath that pick. You've got, oh, what is that, about a ½ inch showing? And that's about how much you need to have as far as your pick. You don't want to be up too high or out too wide on it. About a ½ inch, and you want to hold it with a good strong grip. One more thing we need to talk about with our right hand is bracing. What that is as we're playing the different strings, your hand is going to need some place that it can reference itself from. Whether it's playing the second string or the fourth string or the third string. It's going to get confused pretty quickly, you'll find, unless it's anchored somewhere. So a good place to start, different guitar players do it different ways, but a good place to start is to just put your pinky and let it touch the soundboard. I don't really particularly care where, and it doesn't have to touch hard. It just needs to touch. It just helps your hand know where it's at and what it needs to do. All right, let's try and pick a couple of these different strings and get some practice picking the strings. Let's do the first string. You ready? Let's go. Okay. What about the third string? What's the name of that third string? Do you remember? Here we go. The third string. Very good. The fifth string. Do you remember the name of that one? Very good. Now, that's the right hand. Let's talk about the left hand as well. Left hand, this is going to be the hand that you're going to be using to fret the different notes with. How this works, as far as the guitar is concerned, you've got 4 fingers on this hand. You don't really use your thumb. Some country players do use their thumb to kind of reach over and catch some of the lower bass notes, but it's pretty tricky to do that and not really all that effective. So we're going to go ahead and bring that wrist down and put this hand out like such. You want to make sure that there's air space right here. You don't want your wrist to be way up like this or gripping the guitar very hard like that. It needs to be down a little bit. Got a little bit of air space in between there. Now let's put our first finger on the first fret. Okay? Where do we put our finger? Well, anywhere between here and here is fair game. But having said that, right up behind the fret is the easiest place to press it down with, and you get the best sound from it. Not on the fret. A lot of folks think you might put your finger on the fret. Not at all. That gets this kind of funky muted sound. Is not quite what you're going for. You want to be hugging up right behind that fret. Okay, ready? We're on the first string with our first finger. We're going to pick over here. We're bracing our hand, and we're going to do this first string. You ready? Let's play it together. Do it again. And one more time. That's with our first finger. Now your first finger is going to cover anything that happens on any of the strings in this first fret. Your second finger is going to cover anything that happens on any of the strings on this second fret. Let's try second finger. So we release the first finger and put our second finger down here. Okay, now let's try the third. So I put third down nice and strong, release the others up. Now some of you may be getting a buzzing sort of a sound, kind of like this. If your fingers aren't strong enough to get good contact with that string to that fretboard, you kind of end up with this buzzy sound. All that's telling you is you're not making a good enough contact. You got to make sure that finger's hugging up right close back behind that fret. That's the easiest place to put it down. And there, you want to make sure you're getting a nice, good, clear sound. Okay, now let's do pinky. Pinky's going to be the weakest of all of your fingers, so you're going to really have to put him down strong. Let's try the pinky. Very good. You want to make sure that your hand is not way up here like this, all off-centered with your fingers kind of aimed up this way. You want that wrist down, open up those fingers, and bring it out like that, where each finger is covering a fret. A lot of players will come at it like this, and then when they have to use something in that 3rd or 4th fret, they have to open up their fingers. Now your hand may not be used to staying out and apart like that. But unfortunately, with guitar playing, you're going to be doing this position an awful lot. So eventually, it'll get more and more comfortable to you. It may even be, physically impossible for you to move your fingers very apart right now. Your fingers will limber up as you do it, just like if you would be stretching and doing stretching exercises. They get more and more flexible the more that you do it. Let's try this one more time. We're going to be on that 1st string, 1st fret. Here we go. Let's play this note. 2nd finger, 2nd fret. You want to make sure you're using your fingertips, not the flat of your finger like that. You don't want to be doing this. That works real good on the 1st string, but unfortunately it doesn't work very good on the other strings. So you always want to make sure that your fingers are using the tips. So we did 1st, we did 2nd, here comes 3rd, and now we do 4th. Let's do that one more time. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Now, what should your thumb be doing back here? Well, I don't really care what your thumb is doing back there. The only problem is your thumb is attached to your wrist, and I do care about where your wrist is at. If your wrist gets too high, you end up using the wrong kind of muscles, and it doesn't work very well for playing guitar. You want to make sure that wrist is low. You want to use your fine motor skills, your little muscles in your fingers, and bring that down. And so you don't want your thumb way up here like that. It's not a hook. You're not hanging your hand on your guitar. You want to bring it back a little bit, so you can do like that. Okay, let's talk about tablature. Tablature is a notation that guitarists use to show which fret and which finger needs to be played at any particular time. It's not really music notation. We'll talk about music notation in a minute. This is called tablature, and it's something strictly for guitarists to use. It really helps you visualize what fingers you need to place where. So if you can look in your books, figure 1 is a line of tablature, and let me just explain how that is. Those 6 lines represented there correspond to the 6 strings on your instrument, going in reverse order. So the top string is actually, the top line is actually your 1st string, and then it goes down to the 6th string. In figure 2, where they put some numbers on it, and this is they're telling you, what they're trying to tell you there is where to put your fingers, what fret you need to put your fingers on. Okay, so the first notation there, you see a little 1 right up at the top. That's telling you on that 1st string, they want you to put your 1st finger and to play that note. Okay, the next one after that is a 3, but it's still on the 1st string. So there, that means you put your 3rd finger still on that 1st string right after it. That's the next note. After that, it skips down, you'll notice, to the 2nd string. Still the 3rd finger, though. That's what that 3 is telling you. So if I play just those 3 notes, it would be like this. 1st finger, 1st fret. 3rd finger on that 1st string. 3rd finger on that 2nd string. You'll notice a little bit further on in that figure 2 exercise, there's a 0. What that 0 is telling you is they want you to play that string, the 2nd string is the one that it's on, open. So I'm not fretting any frets at all, I'm just playing it open. Now, it's pretty easy when you get the hang of it to read this, even though it looks a little confusing right now. After you do it a little bit, you kind of see how it goes. So if I was to play figure 2, it would be like this. 1st finger, 1st string, 3rd finger, 1st string, 3rd finger, 2nd string, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 1st finger, 2nd string. Now here comes the open strings, an open 2nd string and an open 1st string. Now if you look down to figure 3 represents how a chord would look. All of these numbers stacked up on each other are telling you to play all these strings at the same time. Okay, so let's look on what's happening on each of these strings. On the 1st and 2nd string, you have zeros, so that means those are both open. On the 3rd string, it has a 1 there. That means you put your 1st finger down on that 1st fret. On the 4th string and the 5th string, there are 2s, which means that both the 2nd the second fret on both of those strings are being played, and then the last one at the bottom is a 0, so that means that's open as well. So if I play all of those together, it comes out to be a chord, an E chord, but you'll learn about that later. But that's how a chord would look in tablature. Now we're going to talk about some finger exercises. Let's review. On our right hand, we used our pick, and we're going to start doing a picking pattern now. Okay, so I want you just on that first string, I want you to go a downstroke with your pick, and then I want you to do an upstroke with your pick. Then let's do a down again, and an up again. Let's try that again. We're going to go down, up, down, up. You ready? On the first string, let's go. Down, up, down, up. Very good. And that's on the first string. What's the name of that first string? You remember that? That's our E string. Let's do it on, now we're going to do it on the B string, the second string. Okay? We're going to do the same thing. You ready? Down, up, down, up. Remember to be bracing your pinky on your soundboard. Let's try the third string, the G. Here we go. Down, up, down, up. You want to go for a good, steady rhythm. Go as slow as you need to go to get it good and steady. The idea is control, not speed. If I can get you controlled, then we can get faster. But don't try and be speedy right here. Now's not the time for it. You want to get your hands in control. You want your hands to be able to do what your brain is telling them to do. We are laying a good foundation with all of this. Okay? In the first finger exercise you see, we have the tablature line there, and we're going to do down, up with our right hand, but we're going to put our first finger on this first fret on the first string. So it'll actually end up, we'll be playing that 4 times. Down, up, down, up. And then we move to the second finger. And we do the same thing. Then we do the third finger and the fourth and back down. So if I played that, I'll play it nice and slow. You try and play it with me. First finger, first fret on the first string, and we're going to go down, up, nice and evenly. You ready? Let's play. Down, up, down, up. Now your second finger, put him on the second fret. Here we go. Down, up, down, up. Now your third finger on the third fret. Down, up, down, up. Your fourth finger now, your pinky, stretch him way out there. Up, down, up. Now back to the third. Down, up, down, up. Second. There you go. And first. Now, this may be a little tricky at first to do. Everybody thinks they know how to control their fingers until you start playing guitar. Then you realize that your brain really doesn't tell your pinky to move independently of the others very often. So we have to kind of train our fingers to do what we need them to do. Let's do that exercise one more time, a little bit faster. Try and be steady. You ready? Here we go. Let's play. Up, down, up. Second finger with no breaks in between, right from one to the other. Third finger. Fourth finger now, down, up, down, back to third. You're doing great. Here comes second. Nice and steady. Then back to first. There you go. Now we did that on the first string, the E string. Now we're going to go to the second string, the B string, and let's try that one more time. This is still exercise number 1. We're just going to do it on the second string now. Ready? Play. Second finger now. Make sure you're not getting any buzzes. Put a lot of pressure on those fingers. Here comes the fourth, pinky. Back to third now. Second finger. And first finger. Very good, very good. Now, probably right about now, your fingers are getting a little sore, which is what happens right about now, because your fingers aren't used to doing that. Make sure you're using your fingertips, and your finger, the flesh right on your fingertips will toughen up. At this stage of the game, when you're practicing, just play until your fingers start hurting. Once they start hurting, just back off from it for a while. There's no advantage to playing through the pain or anything like that. Just back off from it, come back on it a few hours later, a little bit later on the night. Give your fingers a chance to heal up a little bit and toughen up a little bit. You'll find within about a week they'll be nice and strong to be able to do what you need to do. Let's go down to exercise number 2. Now instead of going down, up, we're just going to go down, up. So instead of 4 beats, we've reduced it down to 2. Let's go to the third string now. Remember the name of that third string? G. Here we go. First finger, third string, good bracing. Here we go, a little bit faster. Down, up. Now the second finger, down, up. Third finger. Fourth finger. Back to third. Back to second. Back to first. Now let's try and put them all together instead of hesitating in between each one. Ready? Let's try it again. Let's play. Whoops. Sometimes you'll hit the wrong string, just like I did there. Let's try it one more time. This will be the third string, the G string. 2 beats on each. Ready? Go. Next one. Third. Fourth. Back to third. Second. And first. All right, let's go to exercise number 3. Now, instead of just doing 2 beats, we were doing 4 initially, then we were doing 2. Now we're just going to be down to 1. Okay? Well, let's go back to the first string. Brace. Now we're just doing downstrokes on all these. So it should just be down, 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 down. Let's try it. Ready? First string, go. Down. Second finger. Third finger. Fourth finger. Back to third. Second. And first. You should really do each of these exercises on all the strings. It'll take a little bit of time, and it's pretty tricky at first, but as you do it more and more, your fingers will get better very quickly in being accurate on where they need to go. It may seem difficult and a little hesitancy right now. You may be trying to move your third finger, and it just takes you a second before you can actually move that third finger. That's what these exercises are for. They're not meant to be great music at this point. Before we can get to making great music, I got to get this hand and this hand firing together. So that's what these exercises are for. Last two, very quickly. Exercise number 4, we're going to work out finger independence. We're going to go 1, 2, first to second finger, and then first finger to third finger, first finger to fourth finger, first to third, first to second. So it'll be like 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, and 1. Let's go back to that first string one more time. We'll do this one nice and slow. Ready? Play. 1, now 2. Okay, then back to 1. We're going to go 1, 3. 1, 3. And back to 1. We're going to go 1, 4. 1, 4. Now we're going to do 1, 3 again. 1, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then back to 1. Let's do that one a little bit faster now. Ready? Play. 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. Very good. I know that may be a little bit quick for you right now, but Do it a couple more days, and you'll be smoking on it. Okay, the last one, exercise 4. This is the last one I want to touch on. This works out our pinky. We're going to go 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1. Then it just does it again. 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1. Let's do it on a low string. Let's do it like on the 5th string, that A string. You ready? Nice and slow. Ready, play. 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1. Make sure that wrist is down nice and low. You're bracing. You got your pick fingering all right. Ready, go. Let's try it one more time. 4, 3, 4, 2,